All right, we are going to go ahead and start with parts of chapter 10. What I will tell you, if we do not have school today, first of all, I want everybody to take their book home today. In case you do not have school tomorrow, there will be a lesson on video online. So part of why I need that is to plan through spring break, because now we're at the point where every day's exact is counted for perfectly, so we need to make sure we're using all those. So if there's no school tomorrow, please watch the video and be caught up before we get back on Thursday. So today we're going to look at solving inequalities. Not really much different than if we have an equation. Only difference, and you'll probably remember this, but where our first thing we're going to start with is getting rid of addition or subtraction. So we get rid of our plus 4 or negative 4 by adding 4. So now we have negative 2x is less than 12. We're multiplying by negative 2, so we divide by negative 2. The only difference between an equation and inequality, if your last step is multiplying or dividing by a negative, you flip the inequality. So we have worked on these 7th grade for sure. We might then say graph it. So it'll say graph and solve, or solve and graph. So for graphing, if we just have greater than or less than, it's an open circle. But if we have the line underneath that says it is equal to, we color in the dots. Okay. So at negative 6, we have a circle. And then if your variable is on the left-hand side, this is what way it tells you to point your arrow. So our arrow is going to the right. So our line is going to the right. But let's say we had solved it and it came out like this. Always try and go back to this order because that makes it so much easier to graph. So we flip everything around, but if we flip everything around, we also have to flip this. You notice how it was around x? It still needs to be around x. So that's how we would flip it. In other words, if we had this one, if we flip everything, this is facing open to the 8, so it again is open to the 8, so we flip the order. Now, it would be very easy to graph that one. We would have a circle, or filled in dot at 8, and then it's pointing to the left. Okay. Let's do a few more of those. The nice thing is it's not really that new, but you haven't done it in a while, so it's just kind of a nice refresher. So let's throw in one that's a little bit more difficult. Okay, so we have variable on both sides. Find the smaller one, 6x or 4x, which is smaller? 4x, so we want to move it by doing the opposite. So subtract 4x from both sides. 2x minus 3 less than 7 goes away. So now we have a 2-step inequality where we just were. Add 3. 2x is less than 10. Divide by 2. X is less than 5. So again, we can graph. Here's 5. We have an open circle, and it's pointing to the left. Okay, let's do one last one then. It can be really large, but if we do them step by step, we can break them down into where we get to a 2-step inequality. We have a number next to 2 parentheses. What do we think we need to do with those numbers? So distribute. So here we get 2w minus 16 plus 9. 12 minus 3w minus 4. So now, next step, let's go ahead and combine like terms. So negative 16 and positive 9. What is that? Negative 7. 12 minus 4 is 8. Now we have two variable on both sides. This one is our smaller one. Part of why you want to get rid of the smaller one is then we're not dealing with negatives quite as much. If we deal with negatives, that's when we have to remember to flip our sign. It's one less thing to worry about. then one less possible chance for an error. So we did the opposite of negative 3w, which is positive 3w. 2w plus 3w is 5w minus 7. Now we get rid of minus 7 by adding 7 to 5w greater than 15 divided by 5. W is greater than 3. Again, we can graph that at 3. We have an open circle greater than is 2r. There was, thank you. There was a line underneath it, which I lost, which then says, thank you. So that's one more thing you have to keep track of. Go back to the original. So that was a good catch. So go back to the original, make sure you have your sign right. If you don't, that's what we need to correct. All right. Let's do, on all of these, it says solve and then graph. So you're going to solve them and then just make a number line graph. So let's do page 466, 67. (21 to 46 odd for me. 21 to 46 odd on 466, 467. Minder, take your book home for the possibility of needing it tomorrow.